We're at the 2019 CROI. We're here in Seattle, Washington, and we're with Caitlyn Jasumback, who is with the Baylor College of Medicine. I'll let you more broadly expand on how that affiliation sets up, because you're actually from Africa.
Yeah.
I mean, you're based in Africa.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I'm with the Baylor College of Medicine Children's Foundation, which is in Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland. And I'm there at a clinic that specializes in pediatric HIV and tuberculosis. And but it is through the Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Texas.
And the reason why we are having this conversation is because I met you at the posters yesterday, and we talked with you a little bit about the possibility of doing this interview, because it's important for our audience to know that there are a lot of openings in the field of medicine for really good people like yourself who really want to invest in a very complicated field. And I think that it's challenging, and I think that's what we kind of want to get across. We want to explore the field you're in, specifically in HIV, with our audience to give them a sense of what it's like.
Yeah.
So the first thing we want to do is, what got you into the field in the first place?
I think I've loved biology my whole life. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be a geneticist. And then when it came time to graduating from university, which I had a degree in biology with a minor in public health, I didn't know what to do. So I thought, let me try Peace Corps. I had been deciding if I wanted to do a PhD or a medical degree, and I didn't know. So let me take some time off and see. Then through Peace Corps, you have more of a human connection. You're not in the lab as much. Then through that, I've extended my service with the Baylor College of Medicine Children's Foundation. And through that, I've really started a love of HIV and the human aspect of HIV, and even the comorbidities that go with it. Most of my research is actually focused on STIs and tuberculosis, and just really trying to find alternative ways of testing for tuberculosis in children, and then also just for general STI surveillance in HIV positive populations, and knowing that those populations are different from your everyday other populations, and really getting into the human aspect of that.
And the work you do you also work with malaria? You just mentioned TB and so forth, but...
Yeah, in Eswatini, there's actually not very much malaria at all, so we don't do a lot. We do see some patients that come in with it, but it's very rare.
In that particular location,
yeah. We're very lucky.
Different places in Africa, there are profound, it's equally as concerning as TB or HIV. In fact, when we talk to some areas of the scientists or the clinicians in those areas, certain areas in the country, they're more worried about TB than they are HIV. But obviously they're having to make sure the person's healthy across the board. So it's good that you're covering all of the STIs and so forth, which is really important. So what can you tell a bit about the work you brought in their poster and so forth in a way that the audience will best understand? Yeah,
basically in Eswatini there's very little STI data at all, especially in adolescents and young adults. And so at our clinic we specialize in children and young adults, adolescents. So we decided to just get some general prevalence data of STIs. So we were testing for chlamydia and gonorrhea in that population. We had 300 total participants. We found a general STI rate of 7%, with 20 to 24-year-old females having the highest rate of STIs at 15.7% in the population. And that's huge, and that's really above any global standard. And also we found that there's more gonorrhea in the population than chlamydia, which again is very different from global standards and even previously published data within the country on a different population, but still Swazis in Eswatini. And so we're just here to kind of get that general information out and start pushing for more STI testing and screening in Eswatini, because all we have currently is syndromic screening and urine leukocyte esterase screening for patients, and it's not effective. It's not an effective test. And I think across the continent, the African continent, it's the same, just syndromic testing only, and we know that it really doesn't work, especially in females. And we also know in Africa there's a lot of gender disparities, and females are the victim of that, and so they're not getting proper care. And so that's what we're just trying to.
So people who are infected with HIV are probably people who are going to show up with a lot of STIs as well.
Yeah, they kind of.
It's the.
They come together in a way.
The comparisons, So let's get back to your experience as a young investigator. Mm-hmm. Is this your first conference, or is it?
Yeah, it's my first CROI, and it's my first. I guess I've done like a Baylor International Pediatric AIDS Network meeting in Johannesburg, but it's just like the networks and it's very small. Mm-hmm. So this is my first time. Yeah,
pretty massive, pretty impressive.
Yeah, yeah, really cool stuff.
Have you had a good? And you've had your day at the Poster.
Yeah, yeah.
How has that panned out for you?
It went really well. I think it was really fun, and it's really exciting and nice to be alongside people who have the same feelings and passions as you do, and you really get into these conversations where you're just talking and having so much fun, and it doesn't matter if you only have a bachelor's of science or if you're a PhD or a medical doctor with a bunch of other acronyms behind your name, you know. Yeah, it's just been really fun.
So did you find a lot of the folks who you talked to, or in your experience, did you have a lot of people coming up to you and question you on your work, and how did you get to this conclusion, or did any of them challenge you severely, or how did that work?
I don't think it was challenging me severely, more of like asking questions, trying to get, you can see that they are very passionate, and I think with scientists and medical doctors, especially in HIV work, they're thinking of their population, who are my patients, and so they'll kind of be very stern looking at the poster like, now how did this happen, what did this, but it's very much, then once you answer all the questions, then you start to talk as from human to human, and you kind of see the similarities between you and everybody else, and we're all here to do the same thing and trying to make the world healthier. So,
did any of the comments or the discussions get you to change your thinking, or give you a great thought?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of conversations about MSM here at CROI, which makes total sense. But in my setting in Eswatini, it's almost not spoken about, and it's like brushed under the rug. It's happening, but and so that's been something that I've gotten used to, and that I also have had some few conversations with people talking about like testing with like anal swabs instead of just vaginal or oropharyngeal swabs, and some different things, and some conversations going on with even people within South Africa and work they're doing, and maybe having parallels with them and continuing conversations and creating network opportunities and opportunities for our clinic to maybe partner with other clinics or organizations to provide more
potential
services.
Collaborations and exciting new relationships that you're building in this space. And it's great. I'm glad that you had a good experience, because I think most people do. I don't know. I don't know how you can have a bad experience, except you're screwed up somehow in your study.
And it can be overwhelming maybe, but if you just kind of push through, you'll be all right.
Remember, people are here with the same, like you said, the same passions that you have.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Caitlyn, for being here and doing your first interview.
Yeah, definitely with the camera.
And your first day on the chopping block yesterday, and now you're in front of the camera.
Yes, it's very exciting.
All right, you take care of yourself.
Thank you so much.
I hope to see you in the future.
Sounds good.